The fight over the VA as the government cut thousands of workers in just weeks. A laid-off employee telling News 5 the damage this could do.
It's just going to add a lot more time and, elongate what the doctors are already having to do.
Veterans we've spoken with say the uncertainty is reaching a breaking point. And tonight, our John Kosick is following through with another show of support for VA workers.
So when you cut jobs, and you're cutting care at the VA, you're putting veterans at risk.
Outside the VA clinic in Parma, they gathered this day, around 75 strong. Folks like Jack, a Vietnam vet from North Royalton, lending his support to VA workers here and across the country who have or will lose their jobs this year to cuts.
I rely on the VA for my health care. They do a wonderful job. They got dedicated employees in there.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is preparing to lay off as many as 80,000 workers in the coming weeks and months, the latest phase of the Trump administration's efforts to reshape the federal workforce. Cleveland VA employee Alicia Jennings came over on her off time, something she says some VA employees have little of.
You would not believe some of the nursing staff that work, somewhere between 30, 40, 60 extra hours a pay period because their areas is short because people get sick, people get tired. And you just to sit up here and say that somehow you're going to cut 8,000 jobs, it's not going to affect care, that's just not realistic. It just really isn't.
Especially since the passing of the PACT Act in 2022, that opened the door to benefits for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits that previously weren't covered. Folks like Tim Hauser, who we introduced you to 3 years ago, he fought the VA for over 25 years to get covered, which under the PACT Act, he now is.
I didn't want another veteran to go through what I went through.
Hauser, among those on hand this day, concerned the door that was open to him and 5 million others through the PACT Act could be closed as a result of these cuts.
To have the possibility that this is all going to go away, including the VA altogether, that people need to know exactly what's going on.
Senate Republicans last month voting against the resolution that sought to protect the PACT Act. Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno last week defending the cuts to the VA.
The VA had about 400,000 employees back in 2019. Joe Biden grew the employment to 470,000. So what Doug Collins, who's the Secretary of the Veterans Affairs, has said, hey, we need to right-size the VA down to 400,000.
The goal, he said, being to eliminate waste and fraud and make the VA more efficient, something the man who served as Secretary of the VA in President Trump's first term questions the logic of.
We do need to take a look at how to improve this system, but I don't know any system that slashes its way to excellence.
In the meantime, organizers here say they plan to stage weekly protests like this, with one on tap for next week in Akron. In Parma, John Kosick, News 5.